haven't used black paper that much and I really felt like experimenting on it this week, so I wanted to share 3 different ideas for painting with gouache on black paper that maybe you would like to try out too. This is the Strathmore Black Mixed Media paper. It takes gouache and many layers of paint and water really well, so I'll link the exact paper pad that I'm using below. So for my first experimenting session, I thought I would paint a galaxy, and I think this is a really nice idea, especially for beginners with gouache, because you don't have to get the colours exact and you can really go with the paint flow and still get a really nice outcome. I started by using the gouache mixed with lots of water, and this helped me merge all the different colours together. I could also create that blooming effect with the paint where you put down a colour on wet paper and let it spread and make shapes, which is perfect for the galaxy sky. I used turquoise, purples, blues and pinks for this one, but you can find lots of really cool references online with different colours, and I kept putting down these different colours on wet paper and using my brush to merge them and create different shapes. As you can see, as the lighter colours dry, they go darker, so I kept going in with white to brighten the lighter areas. It's a process of building layers, and that's what I love about gouache and this paper too, because it allows you to keep building without breaking. And here you can see how those darker purples and blues dry lighter, so I'm going in with a darker purple mixed in with black to darken the sky and really amp up that contrast between the light and the dark. So once I'm happy with that background layer, I can begin putting in the stars, and you can probably see there's a lot of cool texture in that background that kind of looks like clouds because of that blooming effect that we did. But the stars will cover a lot of that up and it will help it come together a lot more, so don't worry about it being perfectly blended. This is what it looks like. I think the galaxy effect looks so cool on black paper. I think it took me just under an hour, so if you need something to warm up with or a piece to dip your toes into painting on black paper, definitely give this one a try. After the first warm-up, I wanted to paint something more vibrant. I've done butterflies on black paper before, and I was so impressed on how colourful and saturated the gouache paint shows up on black paper, which is why I think it's the perfect paper for really colourful studies. Butterflies are great because you can get so many gorgeous colour variations, but other ideas would be flower studies, birds, or even sea creatures. I feel like you can get so many vibrant colours in nature, and this paper is great to showcase them. I always start with thin layers of gouache and then build up to thick, so you will see how the first few layers aren't as vibrant because the black paper shows through. But that's actually quite normal with this technique that I use. I recommend that you keep building up the colours where you need to build them up, and then allow for the paper to show through where it's appropriate. I actually use the paper's strengths in this way a bit more in my later illustrations. I love how these two colours, the blue and green, look on black paper. I feel like they look like they're glowing, and I find that in general tone paper creates a really interesting backdrop for illustrations and paintings and kind of elevates sketchbook work. Normally I love using tone tan or tone grey paper in my sketchbooks, but I don't think Strathmore has made a bound sketchbook with black paper. I may be wrong, but I think at the moment they only have their black paper in pads, but I'd love to see a black paper sketchbook though. So I really think that doing some colourful studies like this on black paper will leave you feeling really satisfied because of how you can make them jump off the page with the bright colours, contrasting with the black background. So definitely give these a try. I'll put some different reference photos in the description box that you can use. My last illustrations were painting with black and white only, and I love monochrome studies, and I thought doing black and white would be perfect for black paper. Now I love how these turned out, but I found the process a little bit harder because I had to get used to how the black and white paint color shifts on the black paper. So color shifting happens when gouache dries. The lighter paints go darker and the darker paints dry lighter, but I had to get the hang of it on black paper because it impacted the paint value even more because it was a dark background. As I went on though, I was able to learn how the paint behaved, and I could use the black paper to my advantage, as I mentioned before, where you can allow the paper to show through more for certain areas. For example, when putting down a watery white, it would dry to grey because of the black background showing through, which is essentially how I got the grey tone in this dog illustration, and I like how you can really see that layered effect. For this last illustration, I used a lot of black, and I love how the black paint looks against the black paper. By this point, I had gotten the hang of the color shifting, and I progressively got quicker with the illustrations, so this one didn't take me as long as the first one. Normally I would say doing monochrome studies is easier, but I think the black paper threw me a bit, so maybe I would categorize the black and white painting as a bit harder than the other two ideas. As I finished the illustrations, I felt like they were missing something, so I outlined them with this really bright pink, and I like the kind of collage cutout effect it has. I think this would make such a cute card for someone with pets, like making a little illustration of their dog like this. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!